sounds amazing. Welcome back to another video, my friends. My name is SIKKY Beats. That was an unnecessarily long pause. I hope you guys are doing fantastic wherever you're watching this. Before we get into this video, make sure you smash that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button for more content just like this, and follow me over on Instagram at SIKKY Beats. And today I want to show you guys how I made that trailer beat. So let's kind of get started. I start the beat off as I always do with some super cinematic sound effects, and this is them all together. Mean, you know, sets the stage for what's about to happen. All those sound effects are running to their own channel, and I just have an EQ on there to kind of help it fit into the context of the song. The main melodic element that we have, we start with this interesting pulsating bass sound. Very simple. This is actually a Serum preset. On this preset, I have an OTT, a fruity limiter, some reverb, and this filter. And this EQ is super important because we filtered out a little bit of that low end, but we're saving that low end energy for the next section that follows. So we'll get into that in a second here. The second sound that we added here was this ambient pad, which actually started out as a one shot. And it's been heavily filtered because, again, we want to save all those frequencies, all that energy for the next section, right? And so we got a fruity convolver with the white noise preset here, blur white. And then again, this is the filter where we're carving out some of those frequencies so that we can bring them back in for the next section. Supercharger to compress it a little bit. Again, OTT, and then fruity balance. I'm using this as automation to control the volume so that it's quiet in the beginning section, louder in the second section. We added this interesting high 808 part. Plug and chain is Portal, Decimort, because I don't know, people don't use a whole lot of 8-bit sounds in music production. At least I don't hear them too much. And Supermassive to kind of fill out the space. The next thing we added was some very simple drums to help keep the rhythm, the movement happening. And then we also have the second element playing right here. All of the drums are routed to their own channel. For example, this tom is getting a little reverb, stock reverb. Sometimes you don't need the fancy expensive ones. This is probably the sound that everyone's gonna wanna know. This is very much inspired by Certified Lover Boy. Now, with every trailer video that I do, I try to incorporate some kind of ambience. This one, I decided to use this environmental riverside fire. We have actually a fire pit outside this window and a little waterfall like thing. Nowadays, I feel like a lot of drum kits have very similar style of drum fills. It's usually an acoustic drum set and it's the and we have one of those. That's the very common one that you'll see in a lot of drum kits. As always, I'm trying to take things to a different level, so I came up with this. Bunch of chirpy noises. Chirpy? Some interesting sounds there again, and then we go into the next section. I added this vocal here. Just an extra thing, will be available as a DLC in the next, I'd probably say next month or so. For the next section, we keep some of the sounds, including the pulse bass and that ambient pad, but we open up the filter. You can see the frequency filter is opening up. Now that we're in this section and we've opened up the sound a little bit by opening up the frequencies, making things wider, in this section, I wanted to kind of make it a little bit more exciting. So I added these vocals, which will be also available in a DLC. Now this next part is probably my favorite part about the whole beat, which is big synth stab layered with this 808. Now I'm gonna play it without the vocals so that you can clearly hear it. This is where it felt more like a big trailer cinematicness because of that girthy hit of the sawtooth wave. Now the sound for that big cinematic brass hit was made with Serum. 2 oscillators, 16 voices. We've done a little filter modulation. Now here's where it got really interesting. With the effects that I put on this big stab, we've got some delay, reverb, and some EQ. And what made this really special and interesting was using envelope 3 open up the mix. After you play the sound, the reverb opens up and becomes this big, massive thing. You'll hear that there's not a whole lot of low end to this, but when you play it with the 808, now, what made this part really interesting was I used two 808s. We got this Monte Carlo 808 and we have this Billboard 808. Both kind of have their little nuances to them, but together I feel like they make it really, I don't know how to describe it. The next part is the drums. Let's peep some of the sounds that I used on these drums. Let me show you the sounds that we used for those drums. And then to complicate the drums, I used this hi-hat loop. And earlier I mentioned that we want to kind of hold on to some of those low-end frequencies and those high-end frequencies. So here is when I would introduce those really, really soft, bright sounds. And then we have this other downwards effect, simple white noise just coming down. Now, when you play them all together, that's when the whole thing just smacks. Okay, sweet. Now let me show you guys what was on the master for this whole beat. The first thing I put on the master was this Pro Q3, where we're cutting out anything below 27 Hertz. The next thing I put on was a compressor, just kind of tickling the meter. Most of it's just kind of reacting to the kick. And then we have this second compressor. It's a little bit more heavier handed, but we're mixing it in. And the last thing that I added to the master was a plugin from the homie Decap called Knock. I've actually made a number of presets for myself, including this one called SIKKY Master. I added a touch of punch, saturation to bring all the elements together. This is actually probably the most important thing on the whole master chain, is the saturation to glue everything. Tiny little bit of this air to kind of brighten things up, and this clipper to just make sure the whole thing is smacking. And that is what is on the master. Now, one thing I ended up removing from the whole mix was this vocal that I had recorded. I'm still not sure about it, but thought I'd play it for you guys since you guys are still here at this point in the video. Monarch will be available on November 29th for you guys to enjoy. There are 3 versions of this kit this time around. The very first one will cost only $2, and a portion of all the sales will be donated to a charity. You can find more details on the website. The other 2 versions are Monarch Experience and Monarch Experience Plus. The difference there is Monarch Experience will come with 400 plus sounds. The Experience Plus will have that, some one-shots, the FLPs for all of the trailers, as well as future updates. Just over 200 sounds to add into the kit that I'm still kind of dialing in, running through the cassette machine. So be on the lookout for that. It'll be available on November 29th. Again, if you guys are interested, you guys can check the link in the description, sign up for whichever version that you guys want. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.